Hello, hello. It's John, aka Photos. It's been a minute. I have been home now. Well, I've been off trail for, I guess, 9 days. I summited 2 Wednesdays ago at Katahdin, and there's a little more to get caught up on than I had thought, so I apologize for not getting this back to you guys sooner. I said I would do a video when I was finished. I'm probably going to do two. I'm going to do this one right now, a short one, give you a little bit of an overview on stuff I thought, gear stuff. A couple people asked me about any lessons learned on gear, and then I'll do another one either later today or tomorrow and post it a day or two about just general thoughts about the trail and lessons learned. So let's go over some of the gear that I used and things I think about it now after carrying it the whole Appalachian Trail, and see if I would do anything differently. All right, we'll start with our sleeping and talk about our tent. So I think everybody knows, if you watched the original gear video, that I was using the Big Agnes Copper Spur 2 ultralight. I really like this. It really worked well for me. I would say probably the more popular tent on trail, at least one I saw a lot of people carrying, was the current version of the Durston X-Mid 2, I think it is. And there's like a couple versions of it, a Dyneema version and another version. The Dyneema version's almost twice as expensive as this one is. But it probably is, and I was trying to check weights and things like that. The Durston is probably 1.5 pounds, maybe even 2 pounds lighter than this one. So if I had to do it again, I might check that out and see if that weight difference was worth the price difference. I think the Durston's somewhere in the $740 range. I think this was like closer to $350, something like that, $360, maybe something like that. So really liked it. It worked super well for me. Very roomy. It's a 2-person tent. But I'm a big guy, and I like to keep my gear in there at night a lot, and I could lay some clothes out in there when I need it to dry out. So really happy with how that thing worked for me, and I would use it again, but I might try something just a little later for a super long through hike. All right, switching over to backpacks. As you guys might remember, I swapped my backpack out kind of in the middle of the trip. So I started with this Hyperlite Southwest 55 liter. Love that thing. Worked really super well for me. Used it for the first part of my trip, which was the whole mid-Atlantic region, and then had it all the way up to Marion, Virginia. But I started getting a rash on my back that would not go away because it sits right up against your back. I liked it because it was light. I liked it because of the Dyneema. Didn't need to have a cover over it, even though I did have a trash compactor bag in it. You could mount things on the shoulder straps, which I did. I had a phone case on the shoulder strap and a water bottle case on the shoulder strap. And it was all working fine. I could have used that the whole way if I could have figured out a way to prevent the rash from getting worse on my back as things got warm and I started sweating more. So I switched to this Osprey, what is it? The Osprey Exos 58 is what that is. And that thing worked good. Roomy, plenty of room. I like the pocketing on the back, the mesh pocket on the back. I like the side pockets that held 2 water bottles on the sides that were easy to reach. You needed that because of the way their straps worked. You couldn't mount stuff on these thick straps. So that was a little bit of a bummer because I got used to having my phone right up, kind of right here. And when I couldn't do that, it was a little bit more of a problem. The thing about this that was great was this suspension system. This kept the thing off my back, really cleared up that whole issue I had with the rash and stuff on the back. But this right here, the way the belt, move this out of the way. The way the belting works, this like mesh here is actually a little bit abrasive. I was getting, especially on the right side of my hip, kind of a constant set of abrasion from that. And I wish that the fabric they used there was a little less rough. And maybe that's supposed to help keep it, I don't know, from sliding around. But that was the one of the two things I didn't like very much. These pockets, very small, and you almost needed two hands to be able to pull this thing closed. You had to reach around with your left hand to the right one and hold this back here. It was kind of a pain getting stuff in and out of those pockets. But all in all, I think it worked fine. I'll probably use the Hyperlite on future hikes if I'm not going for a long time, just because it is a little bit lighter, and I like the way that works. This thing right here turned into be kind of a lifesaver. This is the Hyperlite Versa fanny pack. It's the bigger of the two models. It worked great. My big phone could fit in this little front pocket. I put all my snacks and stuff for the day in here. It's made from Dyneema, but it's not really waterproof. The zippers aren't waterproof. That top zipper is not waterproof. So it does get wet inside. So what I had to try to do when it was really raining was put my rain jacket on and cover and get that underneath of the front of the rain jacket, which helped. But I really liked having that thing, and worked super well. So let's talk about sleep system next. All right, so I used a couple different things because, you know, I was in the cold weather early on, and then it got warmer. So I started with this Enlighten Equipment 0 degree quilt. And I had never used a quilt before. I got this right before I left before I left for Georgia, because when I was hiking up in New York in January, finishing up that piece of New York, I was using a Nemo 15 degree bag, Nemo Disco, I think it was, and it just wasn't as warm as I liked it to be when it was getting really cold in late January. So I upgraded, went to a 0 degree quilt, and really loved it. It worked great. I had the reactor, that helped because I roll around a lot, and so getting used to a quilt, it got a little breezy sometimes as I was rolling around. I had the straps, strapped onto the my sleeping pad, but I used that just for some extra warmth, and I kept that for a while. I think I sent that back when I got to Roanoke, Virginia, and I think that worked out well in the really cold weather, but you probably could go without that. I used the Nemo Tensor wide, regular length sleeping pad. That thing worked great. When it was cold, I had both of these. I probably didn't need the switchback. I probably didn't need that. I probably could have just gone with that. I sent that home, I think, in Roanoke as well. That thing held up all the way to the final night before I summited Katahdin and got a little tiny pinhole in the bottom. I did find the pinhole. I had to put the thing in my pool and found a little tiny leak. It was super small. I patched it up. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure it'll hold and it'll be all right for a while. So that worked out super great. These are Enlighten Equipment Torrid booties. I don't know if you remember, I had them early on. They got tears on the inside of them. Both of them tore on a seam. I guess, I have a super large foot, super wide foot. That probably helped contribute to some of that. But Enlighten Equipment was awesome. They were less than a year old. They sent me new ones. Got the new ones right in the bag right there. I haven't even opened them yet. But they kept my feet super warm. And I get really cold when it's cold out. I don't know, bad circulation from my hands and my feet. So those things worked fantastic. And I would definitely take them on any kind of cold weather hike again. And then when it warmed up, this is an REI Magma 30 sleeping bag. It works okay. It works fine. It keeps you warm. Something about the fabric, I don't know what it is. Something about this fabric, when it was warmer out, and it got chilly at night, I'd put it on. I was using it more like a quilt than I was a sleeping bag. It's very narrow, so it's a mummy bag, and I got pretty broad shoulders, so I probably would switch to like a lightweight quilt going forward instead of this thing. This thing it was when it was humid out, but chilly. I don't know. It's just the way the fabric was against me at night. It wasn't comfy. Yeah, it works fine. I wouldn't say it's horrible. I just think I could probably do a little better if I got an upgrade and got a lighter version of an Enlightened Equipment quilt or something like that. Since I ended up when it started getting warm, just using that as a blanket more than I did a sleeping bag. And yeah, but it worked pretty well. So that's that. Let's see what's next. All right, we'll talk about shoes for a second. I think I mentioned more than a few times that I got super wide feet, size 13. Really, they're like triple E, quadruple E. So finding shoes is a complete nightmare. Hiking shoes, sneakers, dress shoes, any kind of shoes. The Merrells seem to work the best. And what I would say, so these are I used 4 pairs. Well, I kind of used those and another pair of mids that I have still upstairs in the first 388 miles. So the mid-Atlantic region. And I used those when I got to Springer Mountain, and I think I put 710 miles on those. They were good all the way up to Roanoke. Then I switched to those and used those from Roanoke through all of New York, all of Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont. Swapped them out for those which I got in Hanover and used those for the rest of the way. They got beat up the most. As you can see, the toe caps are coming off. I got that ripped when it got caught on a root. These really got beat up. But I would say for me personally, I need the mids, not the lows, because my foot was sliding forward too much in those and my toes were getting all banged up. So they're heavy. Heavier than I'd like them to be, but they work for my feet. And what I would do is these have like a Gore-Tex lining, or maybe it's just the Merrell waterproof lining. I definitely would not do that again, especially for Maine. I mean, these things don't dry out fast at all. Your foot's going to get wet anyway, as they always say. So I would not get waterproof shoes again. These things, they're all chewed up now, but I got these in New York at the REI in New York. They're the Superfeet insoles. They work great. My plantar fasciitis, which got really bad through Virginia when I was using those, seemed to get under control and get a little bit better when I put these inside of those. And so that helped out through New England a lot. And it's funny, since I've gotten home, I got a pair. These are the sneakers that I bought up in Portland, so I could walk around in some sneakers for a day. Since I've gotten home, my heel has started hurting more than it did all through Maine, because I think I don't have something as supportive as those things in my sneakers right now. So I may have to go out and get a better arch support in my foot for that. So that's footwear. I'm a kind of unique case because of the size of my foot. I wish I could get trail runners, but they just do not seem to work for me, as wide as my foot is and as big as it is. So unfortunately, that's not going to be an option for me. Let's see if there's one or two other things I want to cover. All right, so here's the pile of all the stuff I still haven't put away that was at various times in my bag. The two things here I think I'll mention the most. So that's an Anchor 26,000 milliwatt power bank. Thing worked great. It's heavy. I think they make lighter ones now, and I probably would try to find a lighter one. The only time I really needed the entire thing was going through the 100-mile wilderness, because I was able to stop at places and recharge enough. So you definitely need something like that. That one worked great, but it is heavy. I'd try to find a lighter one. And last but not least, the bug net. I could not have done the trail without the bug net, especially up in New England. They got a little bit in Virginia, but when I got to Vermont, oh my God, it was brutal. And Maine, brutal. Little parts of New Hampshire, brutal. So you got to have a bug net. So that's the gear review. All in all, I'm pretty happy with everything I had. There's nothing that was disaster. I would have loved to stay with that the whole time, the Hyperlite, but it just didn't work out that way. Otherwise, I think I was pretty happy with how things worked out. So let me Let me post this and let me get back to you guys like tomorrow or the next day with my thoughts about the trail, lessons learned. One of my friends said, do I have any regrets? I wouldn't use the word regret. There's probably some things I might do differently, but I think you learn your lessons from the way you did things. And so it's not worth having regrets. It's just worth learning things and doing things different maybe the next time. So I'll put that up tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys later. See you.